Welcome to a special edition of The Good, Bad, and Ugly of Business. I'm your host, Catryn Becker, and in this podcast, we typically interview guests from all different walks of life to learn what they've learned in their career that's made them so successful. But this is not an ordinary podcast episode because in this episode, it is just me, and I'm going to tell you why. So, in business, in life, in everything, there are situations that arise that are completely outside of our control. And it is a moment where there are things that we can prepare to do in advance. So when these unexpected situations arise, business and life can go as normal, as typical as planned. But that's not always the case. And sometimes we have to adjust and pivot. So I am recording this here at the end of the month of July. And the month of July has been a bit of a tricky one here in Houston, Texas, where I live, because we had Hurricane Beryl come through right after the 4th of July. It came on the Monday after that. So I was out of power, as most of the Houston area was. There are some people that are still without power, which is just bonkers and mind-boggling. And because of that, I had to cancel a lot of podcasts that I had scheduled for that week. There was a lot that hadn't been scheduled for the week of July 4th because people were traveling and, on vacation and not wanting to schedule. So we didn't have any recorded that week. And then we didn't have any recorded the week after because of Beryl and the power outages. And then the week after that, I was on holiday because everyone needs some time to reset and recharge. So because of that, we are running a little bit behind our anticipated schedule of podcasts. And that's okay, because that's how life happens. But here's the thing. Here's what I did in advance to plan for the unforeseeable. I didn't know that's what I was doing, but in effect, that's what happened, and it's worked out great. I had taken podcast episodes and had them pre-scheduled out, knowing that I was going on vacation. So I scheduled them out. I took some time on the 4th of July because as an entrepreneur, we don't always get holidays and we don't always take days off, or we don't get weekends or evenings or all of the things that I experienced when I was a W-2 employee. But so what I had done is I edited them, I scheduled them out, I put up it on, on Apple, on Spotify, on YouTube. I had all that done to get me through my vacation, the holiday that I had planned. And thank goodness I did, because it was able to get me through the week of Beryl when I didn't have power and I couldn't have gotten through it anyways. Because that's what happens as business owners. We don't always know what things are going to be thrown at us, but I had the time to prepare in advance. And so I took advantage of it. And I'm so very grateful that I did. So as a result of that, I no longer have a surplus of podcast episodes. Because for those of you who have been with me from the beginning, when we started this podcast, it was every other week. So I posted twice a month. I was just getting started, wasn't sure how many guests I was going to get, didn't know what I was doing. So I kind of took it a little bit slow, because we have to crawl before we can walk, before we can run. And so we were crawling at that beginning, learning it, figuring it all out, figuring what worked, what didn't, what I liked, what I didn't like, and how to schedule guests, how to make it an easy process. And in that learning, I received a really great response to the podcast and had lots of requests for guests. And that's when we moved to going every week. And so we were going every week. So now we're walking and we're going, and it's going really great and getting a really good pace going. And momentum builds, and I had even more requests for guests. And that's when we started to run. That's when I was been releasing 2 podcasts a week. Gosh, I'm not even sure for how long. Because I had so many great guest episodes recorded. And if I kept on the weekly schedule, it was going to be an entire year before their episode was released. So I was like, okay, we gotta speed this up for them. And we've been doing that for months and months and months. I think I started in September of 2023 to bring it into twice a week. So that's where we're at. And now with this break and with some other things happening in my business, which I hardly ever talk about my business of Optimize Me, which is where I design and implement wellness programs for successful women and their teams. That business is really kicking off, and there's a lot of fun things we're doing with the wellness programs, with retreats, with all these awesome programs that timing wise, I need to go back to doing this once a week. running for that long distance, sometimes you need to put some time in of walking. So starting today, August 1st, I will be going back towards once a week episodes to make better balance for myself, for my business. And I'm not going to be harming my guests and making them wait weeks and weeks and months for their episode to finally get released, because that's not fair to them. That's not operating in integrity, and that's not what I do. So thank you so much to all of the listeners and subscribers for this podcast. I truly, truly appreciate you, and I'm blown away by the support and just honored. So I wanted to take some time to let you know that we are going to be going to a weekly model and continuing to bring really great guests. Some of the ones that had to get rescheduled are really fantastic, and I'm looking forward to getting back in the studio, so to speak, to hear their stories, to learn more about them, to figure out what their special sauce is, what makes them magic and sparkle in the world, and be able to bring that to you, wonderful listeners. So thank you for your understanding, and I look forward to catching you on the next episode of The Good, Bad, and Ugly of Business. Until next time, everyone, take care.